أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وبلغه رسوله الكريم، ونحن على ما قال ربنا وخالقنا ورازقنا ومولانا من الشاهدين. اللهم تقبل منا ختم القرآن، وتجاوز عنا ما كان في تلاوته من السهو والنسيان وتحريف كلمة عن موضعها أو تغيير حرف أو تقديم أو تأخير أو زيادة أو نقصان وتأويل على غير ما أنزلته أو ريب أو شك أو تعجيل عند تلاوته أو كسر أو سرعة أو زيغ اللسان أو وقوف بغير وقف أو إدغام بغير مدغم أو إظهار بغير بيان أو مد أو تشديد أو همزة أو جزم أو إعراب في غير مكان، فاكتبه منا على التمام والكمال والمهذب من كل الألحان. فاغفر لنا يا ربنا يا سيدنا، لا تؤاخذنا يا مولانا. أرزقنا فضلا من قرأه مؤديا حقه مع الأعضاء والقلب واللسان، وهب لنا به الخير والسعادة والبشارة والآمان، ولا تختم لنا بالشر والشقاوة والضلالة والطغيان، ونبهنا قبل المنايا عن نوم الغفلة والكسلان، وأمنا من عذاب القبر ومن سؤال منكر ونكير ومن أكل الديدان، وبيض وجوهنا يوم البعث، واعتق رقابنا من النيران. اللهم اعتق رقابنا من النيران، اللهم اعتق رقابنا من النيران، ويمن كتابنا ويسر حسابنا وثقل ميزاننا بالحسنات وثبت أقدامنا على الصراط، واسكننا في وسط الجنان، وارزقنا جوار سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام، وكرمنا بلقائك يا ديان، واستجب دعاءنا بحق التوراة والإنجيل والزبور والفرقان، واعطنا جميع ما سألناك به في السر والإعلان، وزدنا من فضلك الواسع بجودك وكرمك يا رحيم يا رحمن. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صاحب الشريعة والبرهان برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم انفعنا وارفعنا بالقرآن، اللهم بارك لنا بالآيات وذكر الحكيم، وتقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم زينا بزينة القرآن، وكرمنا بكرامة القرآن، والبسنا بخلعة القرآن، وعافينا من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة بحرمة القرآن، وادخلنا الجنة مع القرآن، وارحم جميع أمة سيدنا محمد بحق القرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا، وفي القبر مؤنسا، وفي القيامة شفيعا، وعلى الصراط نورا، وإلى الجنة رفيقا، وبيننا وبين النار سترا وحجابا، وإلى الخيرات كلها دليلا وإماما بفضلك وجودك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم اهدنا بهداية القرآن، وعافينا بعناية القرآن، ونجينا من النيران بكرامة القرآن، وادخلنا الجنة بشفاعة القرآن، وارفع درجاتنا بفضيلة القرآن، وكفر عنا سيئاتنا بتلاوة القرآن يا ذا الفضل والإحسان. اللهم ارزقنا بكل حرف من القرآن حلاوة، وبكل كلمة كرامة، وبكل آية سعادة، وبكل سورة سلامة، وبكل جزء جزاء، وبكل حزب حسنة، وبكل نصف نعمة، وبكل ربع رفعة، وبكل ثمن ثناء. اللهم ارزقنا بالألف ألفة، وبالباء بركة، وبالتاء توبة، وبالثاء ثوابا، وبالجيم جمالا، وبالحاء حكمة، وبالخاء خلانا، وبالدال دنوة، وبالذال ذكاء، وبالراء رحمة، وبالزاي زلفى، وبالسين سناء، وبالشين شفاء، وبالصاد صدقا، وبالضاد ضياء، وبالطاء طهارة، وبالضاء ظفرا، وبالعين علما، وبالغين غناء، وبالفاء فلاحا، وبالقاف قربا، وبالكاف كفاية، وباللام لطفا، وبالميم موعظة، وبالنور نورا، وبالنون نورا، وبالواو وصرا، وبالهاء هداية، وباللام الألف لقاء، وبالياء يسرا. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين أجمعين. اللهم بلغ ثواب ما قرأنا ونور ما تلونا إلى روح سيدنا ومولانا محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام، ولأرواح أصحابه رضي الله عنهم أجمعين، ولأرواح جميع الشهداء يا أرحم الراحمين في غزة وفي غير غزة. اللهم اغفر لهم يا الله، اللهم تقبل منهم، اللهم احفظهم، اللهم اجعل كيد الكائدين في نحورهم يا الله، اللهم اجعل صواريخهم ترد عليهم يا أرحم الراحمين، اللهم اجعل كيدهم يا الله في نحورهم يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أنت القادر وأنت العظيم وأنت الكريم وأنت الشافي وأنت كافي. اللهم اكفينا شرهم، اللهم اكفينا شر أعداء هذا الدين وشر أعداء الإنسانية يا الله. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اجعل في قلوبنا حب القرآن، واجعل في قلوبنا حب الآخرة، واجعل في قلوبنا حب نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اجعله مقبلا علينا يوم القيامة مبتسما حينما يرانا آخذ بأيدينا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اسقينا من حوضه الكريم من يده الشريفة يا الله. اللهم اغفر لنا لتقصيرنا، اللهم تقبل منا صيامنا وقيامنا، واغفر لنا تقصيرنا يا أرحم الراحمين. أنت القادر على كل شيء وأنت في غنى عن تعذيبنا. اللهم لا تجعلنا من الذين يعذبون يوم القيامة وفي النار يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اغفر لنا يا الله إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم اعف عن ذنوبنا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم تقبل منا، اللهم احفظ هذا المكان، اللهم احفظ نساءنا وأولادنا، اللهم احفظ بيوتنا، اللهم استر عوراتنا. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين، اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وتب علينا واجعلنا من عتقاء هذا الشهر. اللهم اجعلنا من عتقاء هذا الشهر، اللهم اجعلنا من عتقاء هذا الشهر. اللهم أكرم علماءنا يا الله، اللهم كل من علمنا حرفا فأكرمه يا الله واحفظه واستره يا الله، أنت أرحم الراحمين. اللهم تقبل منا يا الله. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا ظلمنا أنفسنا فإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم لا تجعلنا من الذين خسروا أنفسهم يوم القيامة. اللهم اجعلنا من الفالحين، اللهم اجعلنا من الناجحين، اللهم اجعلنا من الفائزين، اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يدخلون جنتك بالسلام آمنين يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحان الله. Alhamdulillah, it's a great blessing to be at a khatm. 70,000 angels come. The Prophet ﷺ told us that the angels look at the earth like we look at the heavens. And just as we see the lights of the stars, they see the houses where Allah's name is mentioned. The Prophet ﷺ said to always put dhikr Allah in your gatherings. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ألا أدلكم على أفضل أعمالكم وارفعها عند مليككم وخير من الذهب والفضة وخير من أن تضربوا أعناق عدوكم ويضربوا أعناقكم. قالوا بلى يا رسول الله. قال ذكر الله. He said, let me tell you the best thing that you can do. It's better than, it's the highest in the ranks with your Lord. It's better than gold and silver. It's better than jihad fi sabilihi. He said, dhikrullah. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, kathurat alayya shara'i'ul Islam. There's too many rules. He said, dullini ala shay'in atashabbathu bihi. Just give me something that I can cling to. Because he said there's too many rules. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فارق الدنيا وإسانك رطبا بذكر الله. You leave this world and your tongue is moist with the dhikr of Allah. You just be with the dhikr of Allah. And the best dhikr, أفضل أذكار al-Qur'an. أفضل ذكر لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله is from the Qur'an. It's the highest reality, لا إله إلا الله. So the best thing that you can do is Qur'an, tilawat al-Qur'an, dhikr al-Qur'an, especially in these times, these dark times. It used to be the Muslims, they had like they had like herd immunity. You have herd immunity because you have enough people that have antibodies to a disease. So then that 15% that doesn't, those people are protected because the 85% have that immunity. The ummah used to be like that. You had most of the people were doing dhikr. And so that percentage that wasn't was in the herd immunity. They just were protected because they were with the people. If you read the rahalat of the great scholars who made journeys from Morocco, from Mauritania, if you read their journals, and they're worth reading, because you see wherever they went, the mosques were filled with people doing khatm al-Qur'an, Dalai al-Khairat, khatm al-Bukhari. All these things were just normal things in the ummah, and now they're unusual things. In fact, they're so unusual, people think they're bid'ah. That's how unusual they are. Because people actually think they're bid'ah. But this is the tradition of the Muslims. Sayyidina Aisha, Sayyidatuna Aisha radiallahu anha said, "Man ahdatha fi amrina ma laysa minhu, fahuwa raddun." If they bring things that aren't from the religion, reading the hadith of the Prophet is from the religion. Reading the prayers on the Prophet is from the religion. These things are from the religion. They're not innovations. So the best thing is the Qur'an. And if you don't have a wird from the Qur'an, you're really, it's not a good situation. If you're serious about this religion, you have to have a wird of the Qur'an, even if it's a few ayahs every day. But just doing a wird from the Qur'an. The Sudanese, they say, "Li ma'andu wird gerd." If you don't have a wird, you're a monkey. "Li ma'andu wird gerd." You don't want to be a monkey. You want to be a human being, an insan. And the Raghib al-Isbahani radiallahu anhu, he says, "Al-jahru insirakhu al-insan min insaniyatihi." That ignorance is the flaying of the humanity from the human being. You have to earn your maqam with Allah. And the best way to do it is to read the Qur'an and practice the Qur'an. The Prophet كان خلقه القرآن. لما عائشة سئلت كيف كان خلقه قال كان خلقه القرآن وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم. You are ala, حرف الاستعلاء, استعلى عليه, like he was on the highest moral ethos, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And so where did he get that from? Well, part of it was from the akhlaq that was in his community, and that's why he said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent to complete, because they had things like sidq al-hadith, honesty, wafa, loyalty. The Arabs had those things before Islam, but the Islam came, وَهَذَّبَ. It polished everything. It polished their character, and that's why they were the best people, and they were chosen to take this message with the Prophet ﷺ, that kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas, for all of humanity. And they did it. Wherever they went, they took light, they took knowledge. Everywhere the Muslims went, they brought knowledge with them, they brought beauty with them, they brought ihsan. Whatever they did did it with ihsan. Inna Allah kataba ihsan ala kulli shay. Allah has decreed ihsan in everything. In everything, there's ihsan. There's nothing that you can't do without ihsan. And so, ihsan of Qur'an, one of the most important things, because I guarantee you that tajweed is the basis of everything. Like it all builds up from there. If you can't recite the Qur'an properly, and if you're not interested in reciting the Qur'an properly, if you're not dedicated to reciting the Qur'an properly, then your religion is completely skewed. You don't, because that's something, that's the ihsan of all ihsan that you should have, is to recite the Qur'an the way Allah loves it to be recited. وَالْأَخْذُ بِالتَّجْوِيدِ حَتْمٌ لَازِمُ مَنْ لَمْ يُجَوِّدْ الْقُرْآنَ آثِمُ. Right? Like you're supposed to take this, خُذِ الْكِتَابِ يَا يَحْيَى خُذِ الْكِتَابِ بِقُوَّةٍ. Take this book with quwwah. Take it with quwwah. You have to take the book. And that's why if you begin with the itqan in your recitation, then what will follow from that, and that's why one of the beauties of the Arabic, many beauties, but one of the beauties are these words that have all these amazing meanings. So, وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا, the moon follows the sun. So tala, yatlu, means to follow, but it also means to recite. الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ, right? So reciting it is a type of following it. When you recite it with ihsan, it's an indication of who you are. If you don't recite it with ihsan, that's another indication of who you are. If at least you should be attempting, like he says, Imam al-Jazari, وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةُ إِمْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. There's nothing between you and the Qur'an except exercising your jaw, right? To practice this beautiful science that we've been given of tajweed. It's a beautiful science. And no religion has this. Because Allah said, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. We revealed this book and we have taken upon ourselves to preserve the book. And one of the most important ways it was preserved was with tajweed. Look at these men. Where did they come from? Nafi'. Where did he come from? Ibn Kathir, Ibn Amr, Abu Amr, Hamza, Asim, al-Kisa'i, Abu Ja'far, al-Madani, Ya'qub al-Hadrami, Khalaf, Ibn Hisham. Where did they come from? What gave them that himmah to want to preserve this book? And then they had these students that wouldn't leave them until they mastered what they had. Imam Nafi' had Warsh and Qalun. He read it with him multiple times. Nafi' loved Warsh because of his hirs. He was blonde hair, blue eyed. And his teacher was they said that he was like ebony. He was so dark. So this blonde hair, blue eyed Egyptian taking it from this Mawla, this amazing black man from Iran. This is our religion. Imam Hafs, he stayed with Asim. He was related to him by marriage. But he stayed with Asim, Shu'bah, and until they mastered this. And then we have it given exactly how it's pronounced, everything. This is one of the few things in our entire religion, there's almost no difference of opinion. And that's why you can go from Indonesia all the way to California, and they're either reciting it correctly or not. And the masters will tell you. The masters will tell you. So this is a great gift, that we have. So my advice to myself and all of you, have a wird from the Qur'an. If you're able to, the best thing is to at least do it once a month. The Prophet ﷺ complained from his people, إِنَّ قَوْمِ يَتَّخِذُ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. My people have abandoned the Qur'an. And then it's not enough just to read it. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Don't they reflect on this Qur'an? Tadabbur in the Arabic language, the dubar is what's the end of something. So yatadabbar means to take it as far as you can, to really contemplate it. And that's why the other day we had that wonderful lady, Nasreen, Dr. Nasreen, who just dived deep into the Qur'an on the subject of bala, fitna, imtihan, tamhis, and really looked, what's the Qur'an telling? And she read her book and see the extraordinary cohesion of this book, even though these ayahs are all over the book. But once you actually do the work, and this is why Allah did not create robots. We're not programmed. We're not AI. Right, Omar? He's doing his thesis on AI. We're not AI. We're not programmed. The Prophet ﷺ could have been given this book of statute law. Every single thing was given. He said, Hayati khairu lakum wa mamati khairu lakum. My death is a good thing for you. Why? Because had he stayed with us, the rules would have kept coming more and more until we couldn't have handled it. So, sakata an ashya. Right? Allah was silent about many things. غير النسيان, not from forgetfulness. But from it's afu, innaka afuun tuhibbul afu. So this is one of the great blessings of our religion. It's not a difficult religion. Anybody can learn it. Hopefully from among you, I'm talking to the students now, not the old people. From among you, we'll get some serious scholars of this religion, right? Not everybody's meant to be. All of you, if you go to this school, we want you all to be educated Muslims, muthaqafun. Like you really know something about your religion. You can defend it. You can talk to people about it. You can explain it to people. But from among you have to be people that are willing to khud al-kitab biquwwa, to take this book, really. And many of you, I've read with some of you, and mashallah, your reading is much better than mine was when I was at your age. And inshallah, you'll go very far if you're serious. But you have to do the work. You can't be distracted by these machines and waste your time on these things. You have to do the work. And some are going to be more gifted than others. Don't be kam min arusan, kam fir ursi abha min arusan. Imam Malik said, how many women are more beautiful than the bride at the wedding? لكن للعروس زمان سعد, but it's her day. So don't be envious for people, if Allah elevates some people, they might not be as knowledgeable as you. There's some people far more knowledgeable than I am, or other people that are more well known. But, these are tribulations. Allah gives some people tribulations that He doesn't give others. And there's no, Murabat al-Hajj, one of the things he told me several times, he said, al-dhuhur niqmatun wa kullu nas yatamannahu, wal-khumul ni'matun wa kullu nas ya'bahu. It's from Imam Ahmad. He said that many times. Like, being well known is a tribulation that people want. And he said, being in obscurity is a blessing that people refuse. So, but Ibn Ata'illah, he says, Abdullah sawa'un alayhi in adharahu Allah wa akhmalahu. If you're a true Abdullah, it's going to be the same whether he makes you well known or keeps you in obscurity. But for people to seek it is a disease in your heart. And this is an age everybody wants to be on YouTube and vlog and do all the blog and do all these. Everybody has to have an opinion about it. Everybody has to write their little, and then see how many likes they get, thumbs up. I have to have an opinion here. It's amazing. أقبل على شأنك. What are you doing? Like, I have to have this opinion. I have to let them know what I think. Even though there's 4,000 little texts on the, right, on whatever that 3-minute or 2-minute thing. There's like 4,000. So you're going to add 4,001 because it's so important for you to get that information out there, just to let everybody know, I'm here, I have my opinion. This is a sickness. It's a sickness. Our community, people ran away from being known for piety. If they were in a city and somebody found out that they were from the awliya, they literally left the place. They would go somewhere else. This is amazing. But now everybody has to assert themselves. Everybody has to me. This is a really sick time for people. And that's why everybody's miserable. Because the more you assert yourself, the more miserable you'll get. The more that you just idfin nafsak fi ard al-khumul. Bury yourself in the earth of obscurity. Because nothing grows without being buried, including your nafs. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Allah He used a word that's used in agriculture. Zakka, yazku, to grow. Like قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Yudassi is to degrade or humiliate, but the root is to cover over, like kufr. You're covering over your true self. And the true self it doesn't care about what people think. It's not out for likes. It's not out for thumbs up. The true self wants to be aligned with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when the self bears witness, the hands bear witness, and people, why are you doing this to us? أَنْطَقْنِي اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah made me say it. Who makes everything speak? Like the hands are going, I didn't want to kill that person. He made me, because the hands don't want to go to hell. The feet don't want to go to hell. The stomach doesn't want to go to hell. None of them want to go to hell. And that's why, every morning, the Prophet ﷺ said, every single part of your body is trembling and says to the tongue, "Attaqillah fina," like, fear Allah for us. Fear Allah. Don't backbite. Don't speak ill of people. Don't say things. Remember Allah. Because this is why Luqman al-Hakim, Luqman al-Hakim was an Ethiopian slave. There's a whole Luqman tradition in Arabia before Islam, but most of the ulama say it wasn't. He lived like long time, and he had these birds, and every time the bird would die, a new one would come. But Luqman al-Hakim was an Ethiopian slave. He was black and not attractive according to the tradition, but Allah gave him wisdom, as often unattractive people are given. That's what Jahil, Jahil. He said Allah is just. So very often the most handsome people are not very smart, and the most unattractive people are often really smart. So there's always a balance. He went to the marketplace and he asked he was speaking, and this woman came and grabbed him and took him to this jeweler, and she said, "Just like him." And then she left, and then Jahil said, "What was that about?" He said, "She asked me to do a medallion. She wanted to give it to a person she doesn't like with the face of shaitan." And I said, "I don't know what shaitan looks like." And so she brought you and said, "Just like him." He had very good sense of humor, Jahil. He wrote some funny books too. But anyway, Luqman was given wisdom. That's why there's a whole chapter after him, Luqman. He was freed by his master because, first of all, he had been unjustly captured and sold into slavery. But he saw it as a tribulation from Allah. So he didn't have that kind of anger that gets into people, because he saw this as a bala from Allah. Like we had that wonderful Tobias Tubbs, 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, and with no anger. Just subhanallah. So the reason that he was freed is the man asked him to sacrifice. He said, "Go kill a sheep and bring me the best parts." So Luqman went and he sacrificed it, and he brought him the tongue and the heart. And the man was struck by it. He said, either this man's not very smart, or he's very smart. Like he didn't know. So then the next day he said, "Go sacrifice a sheep and bring me the worst parts." So he went, and he came back with the tongue and the heart. And then he knew. And he actually freed him. But and he asked him what he said. The tongue and the heart, when they're pure, they're the best parts. But when they're foul, they're the worst parts. So may Allah purify our tongues and our hearts, inshallah, and make us people of tilawat al-Qur'an, inshallah. The adhkar here should be what you should be doing. This is not a devotional place in a zawiya sense. That's why I don't encourage these things, not because I'm not against them. They have their place in our religion. They're good things, they're not bad things, if they're done with the proper sunnah and adab and all these things. But this is a place of study. We have lots of people doing those type of devotions in the Muslim world. Lots of people. I guarantee you, Syria was filled with people doing these things in all the houses. But people studying, learning this deen, doing serious work, that we don't have as many. And so, you have a portion of your prayer is important, prayer on time, especially in jama'ah if you're able to make it. And then have the adhkar, the ahraz, which can be only a few minutes in the morning and the evening. But at least have a wird of the Qur'an. And try to do, if you can do a hizb in the morning, hizb in the evening, 15 minutes. It's not a lot of time. Do we have hufad here? How long? If you're doing hadar, you can do it in 20 minutes. Yeah. So it's not a lot of time. You can do easily a hizb in 15 minutes. You could do a juz easily in 30 minutes. So just make that a practice, commit to it. Anybody who has niyyah of memorizing the Qur'an and does some memorization, if you die, inshallah, Allah will appoint an angel to finish your hifz in the grave, and you'll be raised up amongst the huffaz, inshallah. May Allah raise us amongst them, inshallah, make us people of the Qur'an. The Prophet ﷺ, his beautiful dua that he said every Muslim should learn, Allahumma ja'al al-Qur'an al-azim rabi'a qalbi wa noora sadri wa jala'a huzni wa dhahaba ghammi wa hammi wa ghammi. It's a beautiful dua to dispel depression, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Allah yataqabbal Ramadan. Inshallah, may Allah accept the martyrs that have passed away this month and in these previous months. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, protect the people of the West Bank. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, forgive us for our incapacity and our helplessness in the light of seeing so many wrongs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma innahu munkaran karnahu. Walau qadarna la ghayyarnahu. Ibn Umar, when he saw wrong, and he couldn't change it, he said, Allahumma innahu munkar ankarnahu. It's a munkar and we condemn it. وَلَوْ قَدَرْنَا لَغَيَّرْنَاهُ. And if we were able, we would change it. And that's the least of iman, according to the hadith in Sahih Muslim. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.